Welcome, you folks. We're delighted to have you with us this afternoon. This is our uh, weekly class for the family, we call it Family History Update and UV Tag. That's Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group. I'm Don Snow. I'm in Provo, Utah, which is south of Salt Lake by about 50 miles. Gerhard Roof, who's our host, is our technical guy, and he's in Orem, Utah, which is right only about a mile or two away from where I am. Our topic today is free AI. AI is short for artificial intelligence. You've been hearing about that on the news a lot recently. Websites for text-based applications. This is actually part two, though part one had a different name. I started with the title Getting Started with AI and so on. Um, if you look for the notes the previous videos, they have different names, but this is actually the second one of these. Actually, it's about the third class that I've done on this, but the others are on there as well on our YouTube channel. Um, Today's the 20th of March of 2024, and so this is the part two of this. Now, what AI is it's artificial intelligence, but as people have pointed out, it's neither artificial nor is it intelligent. It's really computer assisted searching, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. In fact, let me click on this. This is the kind of things that we're going to be talking about today. We're going to do a summary of what AI is, and in the previous classes we talked a little bit more in detail about what AI is, but we'll refresh your memory on that. How a little bit about how to use it, and the examples of the main three different ones, the AI websites. They're from Microsoft and from Google and from OpenAI. Those are the three. Microsoft calls theirs Copilot. Uh, Google calls theirs Gemini. They used to call it Bard, but now they call it Gemini. And OpenAI calls theirs Chat GPT. There are probably 100 other ones as well, but those are the main ones that most of us already have accounts on those so that they're easy to get to and use. Those are the ones we'll look at today, plus a little bit more of other things. We'll look at some examples, we'll look at some suggestions, and then we'll look at some cautions to be careful of because these are based on large language models, which I'll tell you what that means here in just a second. Now, the class notes are online on my website, and there's the link to it. The UVTAGG, that's Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group. That's our webpage, and .org. And then I've got a web page on there where all my class notes for all the past classes I've taught are on there going back many years. There's about 300 or 400 classes on there um, from different time periods, and all the recent ones are on there. So the notes are there. And Gerhard, our host on here now, will put a link to where you can find the class notes for today's class on that you can click to get onto it. He usually waits for a little while to put that onto the Zoom chat box because then people who sign up can get to it on there. If you sign up on there after we've already posted it, you can't see it. So it needs to be on there later. The notes and the links, places how to find the videos, all that stuff is on these notes where they are. Now, what we want to look at today, we'll actually go through those notes in a minute, but these are going to be the things that we're going to be doing demos of. We'll look at the links for it. We'll look at some examples of things that you can ask AI to do for you and tell the difference between what AI will do and these AI websites versus just a Google search or a Bing search or something. What to be careful of, because you don't want to put personal information on there, and so you probably don't even want to use your own name on there. Uh, I'll give you the reason for that in a few minutes. But you could put a phony name in there with your information, but not your real name, so they couldn't identify you with it. And then how do you save the results off? And we'll look at some examples of this, and then trying some new things. Now let me shift gears here. Let me actually show you what the notes look like, and so that you can see what they are. Let's see, an Alt Tab to get me to the notes if I can figure out where it goes. Let's see. I think it's this one, is it? Let's see if it is. Yeah, this will do. Let me get to. No, that's the Chat GPT. That isn't the notes I want to get to. Let me open up a new tab here. This is Chrome, and I'm going to have to turn on my magnifier because my eyesight is getting so bad. Uh, and so I'll have the magnifier turned on here. And now I go to Dawn's classes. There's Dawn's classes. Okay, now these are the note page itself. Now that let me turn the magnifier off for a minute so that you can see what it is. This is the notes page, and updated just I guess it was just yesterday. Uh, and let's see if I can move that whole thing over. It looks like it's off the screen a little bit. Let's see if I can drag that. Yeah, I can drag it over. There they are. Okay. Now there's several pages up here at the start with different sorts of things that are on there, including a list of my accordion concerts and various other things going on. Down here, classes coming up. Here's the one that's today's date. Now, this date is written in international date format. So you put the year first and then 4 digits, and then you put a dash and then 2 digits for the month and then 2 digits for the day. That's today's date, the 20th of March today. And over here, you see the title, the AI websites, the free ones. I'm only dealing with the free ones. There are pay ones too, but I'm only dealing with the free ones. And this is part 2 of this. Now, the next classes are listed on there as well. And there's information here on the past classes. So here's the links to the past classes, etc. All this stuff goes on there. And then there's on there, there's a link as to how you can watch it. Okay, now I'm going to click on the link, the notes. Here's the notes for the class for today. Now, I noticed this afternoon, I forgot to put part 2 on the end of this thing. Part 1 actually had a different title. It had Getting Started with AI, Free AI, and so on. And I changed the titles to it, and I forgot to add part 2. So anyway, it says in the abstract that this is the second in a series. There's an abstract there that'll tell you what we're doing today. Now, as I'm scrolling down a little bit, there's the welcome and the introduction, and my email address is on there. If you want to get me, want to send me an email, if you have questions, if you're watching this 6 months from now on our YouTube channel, and you want to send me an email, I'll be glad to try and answer your questions for it on there. There's a couple of hints that I put on here that are not very well known, but they're very helpful for dealing with the Windows program itself. Then item 4 is the problem for today about the AI and what we're dealing with. Now, here's some information about AI. This is kind of a stripped down version of what we've talked about before. It's sometimes called large language models. The reason for that is because what AI does is it takes your text, whatever you type in for a search, and it compares the words in that to large databases of text files. Remember, we're only dealing with text here. We're not dealing with pictures or images or sound or anything else. That's been in the news a lot today about fake photos or doctoring photos. We're not talking about that today. We're only talking about text here. So it has these large databases of text files that it's caught from anything that's on the internet, and it compares the words that you've typed in and it finds words that are associated with those words online in these large databases, and it says, oh, probably these words that are close to the words that you've typed in these databases are related to it. And so then it pulls those out and then it starts writing a narrative about that. And so sometimes you get stuff that's completely irrelevant, that has no relationship at all, because it just found those same words close to the words that you typed in. But usually you get at least somewhat close. But because of that, you do it by you find what comes back, and then you say, oh, I need to add in this. I need to say, I want to put in a date here because I'm only interested in a certain time period, or you need to put in a location because I'm only interested in what happened in England at this time period, whatever it is. You as you get the results, then you modify your original query so that it gives you better approximation to what you want. But you need to be careful of whatever you put in, and don't put in personal information. I think I had in one of the earlier uh, uh, file folder or note things here, type in your own name. I thought afterwards that may be dangerous, because if you type in your name and your birth date and so on, that goes into a large database where that may turn up later on too. And it may be, it's then in the database so that it will show up with your birth date and your information. So don't put in personal information. If you want to put in a fake name with your birth date or something, and then so you know the fake name later, you can go back and correct it. After you save off what the results are, then you can correct it. But I got to thinking afterwards that it might be dangerous to put in anything personal or about your own family, about living people. You put it in about dead people because most of that stuff's data that's available anywhere. Anyway, some of the strong points of AI are that it will help you to remember things that you may have known but have forgotten, or it will bring up ideas that you didn't think about or didn't even know about. And it'll usually give you the link as to where it came up with those, so that you can follow up on it and get more information and so on before you accept it. But keep in mind that and they usually warn you, don't accept this without checking it, because it might not be accurate for the data and so on. But there's a lot of helpful articles and stuff that talk about it and how to use it and so on. In fact, at Roots Tech, the big conference that was in Salt Lake City, when was it? About 3 or 4 weeks ago. There were, if you type in AI in the search box, there were, I think it was 114 different classes that mentioned AI. Some were completely on AI and told you about how to use it and what you could do with it and so on, and others just kind of mentioned it in passing. But there were lots of things that are going on with it. There was one series of 3 classes that were taught by James Tanner, who sometimes teaches for us. He lives here in Provo, Utah, and he teaches for us on some of our classes. He did a class in last November for us on AI. He did a 3-hour series of 3 classes at Roots Tech. They were done only in person and not recorded, but his handout, which is 45 pages long, is available. And if there's information there on the notes there as to how you can download that whole thing if you want to. He does a lot of stuff with both images as well as text. So he's doing image searches and AI things, as well as building new images and that sort of thing, which we're not talking about here at all, because I don't know anything about that yet. That's something I probably ought to learn, but I don't know about it. Here are some of the free AI websites, the ones that we're going to be dealing with. Item 12 there lists the Microsoft's Copilot. That's if you're using Windows, you already have a Microsoft account, and so you can get to Copilot by using that account. And there's a link there, a simple way to just click on that link or just type in copilot.microsoft.com, and it'll take you right to it. It'll give you a search box, which you can then type your query into and see what comes up from that. And we'll look at some examples of that later on. The next item on there, item 13, is Google's. It's called Gemini. It used to be called Bard, but they changed the name within the last couple of months. And there's a commercial version, but the free version is we're only dealing with the free versions here, though they'd like you to subscribe, and I don't even know how much it costs, but it's probably $5 or $10 a month, something like that, to use the pay version. But try the free versions and try all these until you've used everything here, and then decide if you want to pay for it. There's a link there that'll get you to it, or you can go to just Google. Just type in Gemini in a Google search, and it's the probably the first item that comes up. The Chat GPT, that's the one that OpenAI, that's the name of the company, started. That's what started all this stuff off in November of about a year and a half ago, when they started off, and so on. There's a link there that'll get you to where that is. Uh, in most of these, you have to set up a free account, and you probably don't have one for OpenAI unless you've set up the free account. But you'd already have an account for Gemini, because if you're using Chrome or any Google, if you got a Gmail address, you've got a Google account, which will get you into Gemini. And if you're using Windows, you've got a Microsoft account, which will get you into Copilot. So I set up just a free account for ChatGPT, and that gives you more information. They want you to subscribe. They say, oh, well, you can use ChatGPT version 4 for 2 months for free. And then I don't know what they charge you after that, but version 3.5 is free always. And so I haven't even tried version 4. I'm sure you get better results if you use these later versions, because they come up with more stuff and there's bigger databases that they're comparing. But we'll probably look at some with just Gemini. The next item on there, item 14, no, item 15 is a genealogy insights that a fellow named Steve Little is doing. It's primarily AI for genealogists, and he's just getting started. He gave a whole class on this at Roots Tech, and you can watch the Roots Tech when that was online. And so you can watch that the video of that, because all those Roots Tech things are online for the next year or more. And as a matter of fact, Roots Tech's got the last several years of classes on there. There's, I think, 3 or 4 of my classes from past years still on there. But Steve Little did a class on this, and he was sponsored by the National Genealogical Society, and he's got this website which is on there. We probably won't take time to look at that, but we'll do some other things first. Then there's some cautions and suggestions here, and the suggestions are primarily be careful about what you put on there, because it may be personal, and whatever you type in goes into these big databases that it can then find for later on. So be careful as to what you put on there, and check what you get before. We'll talk about that here in just another minute. Here are some ideas to try. We'll try some of these and some of the others on there. You can just type in a question like, how do I get started with using Copilot? Once you get into any one of these things, you can ask it this question about Copilot. It doesn't have to be in Copilot. You could ask it, how do I get started using Copilot in Gemini, and come up with an answer. Or how do you find information, or find information about some ancestor? Probably not your own name, but an ancestor, somebody who's already dead. So there's not going to be a problem with privacy problems. Or create a list of websites for digital newspapers in California. Uh, the ideas are almost endless as to what you can do with this. There's other ideas on there. And then there's some conclusions down here at the bottom to be careful of. Now, let's actually look at some of these examples. Let's go to right here on where it says some free websites. Now, I've just on my Chrome browser, I've used these websites, and then I've just put a bookmark up there. Now I'm going to have to turn my magnifier back on so I can see it clearly. So I've turned the magnifier back on. Now you see along here, this is my bookmarks. There's one there for YouTube. There's one here for Gemini. There's one here for Copilot, and there's one for ChatGPT. Let me click on the one for, well, let's click on the one for Copilot and start with that one. This is the Microsoft one. Okay, now let me find there. I clicked on it, and so it's going to Copilot. And the way I put this on here was I just went and typed in the original the copilot.microsoft. etc. and then just drug the this thing right in front of it. See, there's the copilot.microsoft.com. Right in front of that in the browser is the icon. I just drug that down to my desk to the bookmarks, and it formed a bookmark for me on it. Okay, so here's Copilot with the information it's got, and they got a bunch of ads on here, various things. And as you scroll down, uh, let's see, where is it? There's someplace in here. Uh, okay, they keep changing it, and I haven't checked this recently.
There.
There it is. Ask me anything. Okay, let's type in here. Um, I'm going to say, what suggestions do you have for writing my personal history? Question mark. And I don't know whether I spelled that all correctly or not. Then you click over here on this where it says that thing, see where it says submit. Uh, Enter doesn't submit it. So I kept hitting enter and waiting, and all that does is put another line on here. So I clicked that thing, okay, and now it's going through, and it's see the stuff that's coming up here. It's that fast. It's going through, and it's giving me some ideas as to what I can do, and we'll take a look at these when we get all done here and see what it has to say. Okay, now I'm going to scroll back up here near the top and see what it says. There's my question. See, it says you here. What do you have? Suggestions do you have? Now, here's the what it came back with. Copilot says, uh, boy, you can read that, but I'm going to have to turn the let's see, I usually turn the white on black. I can usually see better. And that's what I've got at this thing in here. That's normal. I'll click. Okay, now it's white on. Now I can see it much better. I don't know whether you can or not, but I can. Uh, Here it says, certainly writing, certainly, see, that's an answer to my question. What they said, certainly, exclamation point. Writing your personal history is, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is a wonderful thing, et cetera. Okay, here's some helpful suggestions are, now look at all these suggestions. Begin with an exciting point, and it gives you some ideas about that. The second thing is style and grammar can wait. Don't worry about it. These are helpful ideas. Don't worry about the grammar and all this stuff at the start with. Just get it down, and then you can correct the grammar and stuff later on. Uh, Paint with words. What's the fourth one here? Embrace humor. If there's some humor in there that you can find, add it in. Strengths and weaknesses. Don't be shy about saying, you had a problem with this, that, and the other stuff. These are helpful ideas for writing things. And then remember, your personal history is a gift to those who come after you. Don't you wish you had some personal histories of some of your ancestors that they had written some stuff, and you're just grateful that some of your grandparents or others wrote it? And then down here at the bottom it says for more information, add more. You can do this, that, and the other, and it'll usually give you some links of other stuff. Now, what I found really helpful is to go back up to the top and highlight this stuff and copy it off. So I've got a copy of it. So I'm just gonna hold down the control or the mouse while I scroll down here. I'm going to have to scroll down to the bottom and then click down at the bottom. Uh, I'm not sure I'm getting all this in. Hold down the shift key and then click. Whoops, something happened. That usually highlighted the whole thing, but I don't know what I got. I need to go back and hit the back arrow. Whoops, the back arrow didn't do it. What did it do? It took me right out of the thing. Let
It
me
took
see
you
if
to
I can.
one of the websites, Don,
Yeah, it
that
took
was
me to, oh
recommended.
yeah, it took me to the website. Yeah. So so usually there's a thing on here. One of these will do a copy. Is this? There's a copy right there. So this one has a copy. So I click copy. Okay, now I'm going to minimize this. Let's see, a control, let's see, a Windows D will take me out of that so that I can get to, well, that didn't take me out of it. Windows D. There it is. And now I can get to any note program or anything. I use Evernote as my note program. So I'm clicking on Evernote to open Evernote, and I'm going to paste that in. So here's the inbox. I'm going to paste a new note, and so it's set up a new note now. It's the untitled note. Here we go. Okay, and now over here, I'll put, now let's see, this was on writing personal history. And this was from Copilot. So I usually identify where I got this, Copilot, and today's date, 2024/03. Today's the 20th, 20. And then I'll copy down here, and I'm not even checking to see if I got that all accurate. I think I did. Now a Control V will copy all that stuff in here. Okay, so there's all the stuff in here now that now that I can read that, I can look it over, and I've got it saved, so I don't have to go back to the original to do. But there's all the stuff in there with the suggestions. So that might help you in writing personal histories and so on. Try some of the other things in there. Now I'll just minimize this thing so that we're out of that, and we're back here in the demos and the links, etc. Let me get back to where we were. Let's see, an Alt Tab, and we go back to here we go. Okay, so now that was Copilot. Let's do something else in. Let's do Chat GPT. Here's Chat GPT. I click on that, and I already set up a free account in it, so it'll say welcome back or something like that, someplace along the line. And then here's Chat GPT, and someplace there's a ask me any. Here it is, ask me anything. Let's see. In this one, let's say I grew up in Los Angeles, and I'd like to get my school records from the Los Angeles school system. So how, whoops, I didn't click in there. Um, where's it? Here, click, click right there. Okay, how, now why is it not taking my cursor? My cursor,
That's not a field to enter things in.
isn't it? Where does this ask me anything? Usually it is. Uh, or is it giving me? Oh, it's giving me some suggestions. Oh, here
It's
it is
giving
down
you the
here.
examples.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, is this? Yeah. Let's see if this one. Can I type in here?
No,
No, still not. Well, where's that dang field? It's usually at the bottom. Uh, well, I was going to try it, but I'd be darned if I can find where that. There's usually a field that says where you can type in the stuff, and I thought it was. Yeah, this has got instructions in there, doesn't it? Oh well. Anyway, I guess I won't illustrate it with that. Let's go over to Gemini and see what Gemini will do, and see if I can type it into Gemini. Okay, so yeah, now here's Gemini. Hello, yeah, and I've already signed in because I'm in Chrome using it. Enter. Okay, now the cursor is flashing there. How can I get my school records from the Los Angeles School District office for, let's see, I was in, well, I'll put the 1940s, 1940 to 1950. That's approximately when I was there. I graduated from high school in 19
whoops, you left the nine out, Don.
1950. Yeah. Okay. And then a question mark. Um, that's part of the time. Now let's see what I get. Okay, so I hit enter. You got to hit this thing, this prompt thing, and not enter. Where is it? Uh, yeah,
It
it's asking.
looks like it entered it.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to type it again because I hit enter instead. How can I get my school records from Los Angeles School District? Let's just try that much with a question mark. And now instead of hitting enter, I click this arrow thing and see what comes up. Okay, and now it should start coming up with information. Here it is. It's coming up with information about see what's going on. Let's see. Uh, online request. There's where to write to. The information. Click the order, etc., etc. Anyway, you can see how powerful this thing is for what's going on with it. It gives me all this information as to where to type, where to send to, and what to do with it on there. Gemini was updated, uh, just updated, so this is fairly new. So Gemini has been updated recently on there. And then remember, they usually give you these warnings. Remember that you got to check all this stuff first. You could type in some of those other ideas that are listed there. For example, if you're looking for birth records from New York City. Say, where are birth records available online for New York City? Or where could I find uh, death certificates for Louisiana? Or all these different sorts of things that you could try. Now, what notice the difference between what you get if you do a Google search versus you do an AI search. In a Google search, what you come back with are just websites that may have words that may tell you where the what you're looking for is, but then you got to sift through it and you got to do the searching in that. If you use an AI search, it will actually give you the link, but it will also give you the information about what parts it has and what it doesn't have, and other narrative sorts of things. One of the classes that was given at Roots Tech was on ghostwriting your personal history, or no, it says ghostwriting using AI. So it gives you a way of writing, getting started, and then using AI to clean up the stuff and so on. Then there's another class that I think it was in Roots Tech. It could have been somewhere else that I saw it. How to rewrite the the narrative that comes back from AI so it sounds human. I typed in my dad. My dad was born in Bunkerville, Nevada, which is a small little town across the river from Mesquite, Nevada. And I said, uh, give me information on Eldon S. Snow, who was born in Bunkerville, Nevada. And I didn't save the date or anything else. It came back with this baloney. I just had to laugh at it. It says, Eldon Snow was born in this quaint western town of Bunkerville, Nevada. and uh, and he went to school. And I said something, and later on he became a dentist in Los Angeles. And it says he went to high school. He didn't go to high school there. He moved to St. George and was in high school. But it says they didn't know that. So it says he went to high school and he enjoyed classes in health science and became interested in medical stuff, and then went to dental school. And it just took the few words that I'd put in there and filled on all this other baloney stuff that I just had to laugh as I read it. It was just so funny from it. But anyway, the more information you put in, the more accurate it gives you. But be careful about putting in personal information, because it's going to all that information you type in is going to be in the databases that other things can search. Now, that gives you at least some ideas of what you can do with this. Let's go back and actually see what the final results are here. Let me find my classes. Dawn's classes are, where's Dawn's classes? Right there. And just to finish up with the last little part of it. Now, the magnifier is still on, so it looks big for you, but I need it to actually see what this stuff is. I'll click back in here and let's go down to the conclusions here at the end. There, anyway, the links are on here, and there's more information in here. So once you get started, then you find it easy to try. And these three that are on there, these three websites are easy to use once you get there. And you can actually type in, how do you use Chat GPT? You can type that into the Copilot if you want to, and it'll come back with the information on it. But after you get the first results, then be sure you check your query and add more information in it. So I think it's kind of like a trial and error. You try stuff out, you realize that it needs a little bit of a manipulating here and there. So you add a few words here, or you change a few words, or you say, I want a video, or I want links, or I want digital results versus library hard copy books and so on. And the free websites are probably going to be enough for you to at least get started with, and for what you want to do. But then you can do the pay ones later if you want to, if you once you get into it. But remember, here all we're talking about in this class has been the text ones, text based. That's why I put text based in the title of it. Now let me go back to our the PowerPoint. Let's see, an Alt Tab, and see where we're going. That isn't the PowerPoint. Where's the PowerPoint? Uh, this one. And let's see if that isn't it. That's not, that was the original. Here's the one, the demos down here. Okay, now we've looked at all these demos. We looked at the links and so on, and saving the results and trying a few things, etc. Now, here's what we've looked at. Let me turn the magnifier off so you can see it easier now. A summary of what we've looked at. We looked at what AI is and why it's called large language models, and a little bit about how it works. And then we looked at some of these free AI websites, and there are probably 100 other ones that are free. In fact, you can ask for a list of free AI websites in this, and it will give you the websites, and it'll give you the link, so you can click on the link itself. We looked at some examples of things that you could do, and what it would do with some demos of it, and then we had some conclusions of that. Now, are there questions or comments that any of you have? And if there are, unmute your mic and ask the question, and see what's going on with it.
Don, I don't have any comments or questions from Facebook, but we did have people watching back from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Oh, good. Oh, Indianapolis had a problem with yesterday. It was on the news last night about problem. Was it a tornado that hit in part of Indianapolis? Someplace right near Indianapolis. So, okay. Well, anyway, if you do have questions or comments, that's my email address, snowd@math.byu.edu. I'll be glad to try and answer them with from email if you have questions or comments later on. So what we've talked about were these free websites, and there's lots more. We've barely scratched the surface on it. And this was what I call part 2 of this, because this was the second of a series, and I'll do a third of a series. But the next month, I'm going to do a class on not on AI, but on screenshot programs. Gerhard came up with a great program that will do a scrolling screenshot, and it's free. And I've been using one that doesn't seem to work all the time now, but I'm going to talk about that one plus several others that will be helpful for doing screenshots. But I use a scrolling one, so that if you're like on my notes, they go on to several pages. If you want to get a screenshot of the whole thing, there's a nice program that will do it, that will pick the whole thing up in it, and it's free. That's going to be the subject for, let's see, that'll be April. And then in May, I'll do another class on AI. Well, anyway, we appreciate you people being with us. We appreciate your taking time to watch it, and we hope that you've gained something from the class. So thanks
Thanks.
very much.
Thank you. It was great. I really appreciate it.
Good. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Gerhard. I guess we're done.